A firm dealing with distressed borrowers has released data showing banks wrote off almost 70% of outstanding mortgage debt. All but one of the bankruptcy cases detailed involved ordinary consumer debt.
There was always a sense that the bank was covered by the security they had, the house or the commercial property. But once bankruptcy happens, instead of, let's say, a personal insolvency arrangement, the property will go back to the bank and the bank will have to sell it. It will incur costs in doing that. And the analysis of this data has shown that what the bank will get back is about 32%.
Dave Murphy is with us now. Interestingly, this is the first analysis of bankruptcy cases under this new regime, and you were saying every single debtor in this case had to surrender their homes. They lost their homes.
That's right, they did all lose their homes. Now, this is a small group of people who've been analysed. It's 25 cases, but in the context of what's happened in the first 6 months this year, there have been 164 cases of bankruptcies which have gone through the High Court. So in that context, it's significant. Yeah, I think the big surprise in all of this is that the banks lost almost 70% of the money which they'd lent by way of mortgage. People would have thought that perhaps the banks would have recouped more, and I think it would probably actually serve as a bit of a wake-up call to the banks that letting people go bankrupt, it means that the banks could lose out very, very heavily indeed.
Because these are people who had applied for personal insolvency under the personal insolvency regime, and they were turned down by the banks.
That's right. So in some cases people wanted to go into personal insolvency, which is different from bankruptcy. It basically means that generally people will hold on to their homes, that they will contribute something towards their debt on the one side, and the banks will write down some of their debt on the other side. So it certainly shows that perhaps the banks would have got more in a personal insolvency regime, but individuals need to have some money to be able to put on the table. So really what we're looking at here is a bunch of very, very acute cases, and that's why the write-downs are so big. That's why they've all lost their homes. But I think it certainly would concern people who are concerned about the level of repossessions which are likely to happen. And all of this is happening while we're seeing property prices rising at the same time. So we're in a kind of a peculiar situation right now.
All right, David Murphy.